out there today. Windy. Well, today we're going to start putting the headlights back in, start putting the plastics back together in preparation for figuring out our electrical timing issue. I don't want to do this outside today because those are all pine trees and that wind is whipping 30 miles an hour and I don't need a branch coming down on my dome.
Boy, it's ridiculously windy.
Yeah. Watch your head out there. It's a lot of wind for pine branches.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Chloe, let's go in the front yard. Come on.
Here's the pull choke on the aftermarket. It's already bent. I guess so. Wild. Pretty primitive. I'm gonna put the OEM back in here. We have to put the OEM in because otherwise there isn't clearance for the tank. Boy, it's starting to look the part. Seat cover on. So the front is done. We've got all of our fairings on, secured. For the rear, we still have the rubber guards that go on here. We have the rack for the back, and then we have the seat on the back. We have the little seat leg kind of buckets, you know, for the little guy to get his feet in when he rides on the back. But it is getting darn close. And as soon as I figure out why we're having a difficulty getting the signal sent to fire the motor at the right time, we'll be in business. So I'm not going to bolt the rear plastics on this evening. Just kind of setting some stuff on for fit and finish. All right, that's enough. Wind out there is still crazy. I'm going to go in, but we're getting close. Whatever's still here is it just needs that moment to figure out where it is. So I got to do some work in the stator on up to the CDI is where I believe I am at this point. But it's looking like an ATV. I've got the front of it back together. And I can tell, I believe I'm getting closer because I have far fewer tools laid out at the end of the night. So almost. let's do some stator testing here. 3 wires, 3-phase stator. And let's see, so that's going to run up. Looks like that runs into, well, it doesn't run into the CDI. That looks to run into the regulator. But again, this I believe is going to be just for the charging circuit. So it actually has nothing to do with timing. But let's take a look at some of these for any resistance or open lines as if they're broken. See what we see. So coming off the stator, the 3 like colored wires, the white, sometimes they're all yellow, etc. I should be able to put this to let's set this to ohms. I'm gonna go my lowest ohm open line. Happy with that. Just set that somewhere where we can all see it. I guess there's just no good place. What I want to take a look at, I don't know the manufacturer's spec for what resistance I should see across these pins, so I'd have pin 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 1. Test them. They should all be the same. Anyway, I can say that without knowing. See if I can get a consistent reading here. If these aren't the same, or one of them is really off, I'd expect it to be something related to the charging circuit. I'm going to call that 1 to 3, but I'm going to keep trying my tests here. Don't really like that one. Let's try and get a little more probe. Let's try it again here. 1. All right, 0.6 ohms. Let's go 2 to 3. 0.5. So I'm happy with that because this isn't super accurate, right? And again, 0.6. Yep. So this piece being the charging circuit going out to the regulator, this all looks as I would expect for resistance. Another test that I can do is open up the stator and put 1 to my ground and then 1 into each of these and see if I get an open line. If they show open line or OL, I know I have a problem. I'm going to open up the stator now so I can do resistance tests across some of these other lines, make sure these wires are intact, not snapped or stretched or something down in here. So let's pause and let's do that. So coming off the coil, we have the 3 white, and then we have this red and this brown. The 3 white, these ones are charging the battery, and I believe that's going to be tied in to all of these coils. And then the red and brown, I think, are going to go back behind the source coil here, and this tells the ignition when to fire, and that's these 2. And we did find that this red one was heavily frayed out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this inside onto the bench, unscrew this so I can get at it, get the probes on it, and look for opens or high resistance. Okay, fast forward, put this stator off to the side. We have a replacement stator. Let's take a look over this, do some probing, and see what we think. This is a knockoff. This is from culprit, in which culprit is not top shelf. If you want top shelf, go RMStator. They have really great high-end stators. RMStator, that's the Grey Goose of vodka. This is the Smirnoff of vodka. There we go. So I wasn't getting the reading because I was on wrong at 200 ohms, couldn't see anything. Going to 2000 ohms. Now I can see. So across the green and the brown, I am seeing, let's move this so you can actually see this a little bit. 316 ohms. Green brown, 300 ohms, plus or minus 20%. We are good, right in the middle there. Let's see now if we can get our readings on these the pickup coils. Let's go this white to brown. 384. I would have expected 215. Again, Chinese knockoff as compared to RMStator specs. And on my other one, 390. So they're the same. Let's check that against the OEM now that we have this going the way we want. So we would be looking at the blue-white. 192, closer to that manufacturer spec. And on our other pickup coil, 190, okay. Let's go across what is on this OEM, the red to the brown. 270, 280, and this red was where we had a problem. It was all frayed out and cut. And then we don't believe we have a problem with the regulator. But I have to swap this down to 200 to be able to read here. Smaller ohms. 0.6, so that's 60. 0.5. Yeah. Okay. So doing these static tests, it's not immediately evident if we have a bad OEM stator. We did find that we had I guess we can call it really a frayed out wire on the red side here, which I cleaned up and wrapped. The resistance is showing as though that is not a problem at this point. Let's go ahead and get this stator installed onto the bike, and let's test and see how this all comes together, especially as it relates to sending this signal into the CDI with 3 versus 4. Incidentally, and this is a knockoff, the RMStator replacement is the same thing, joined into 3 versus the 4. I'll use my impact to put this in, because it's kind of nice with this rotational energy to get the bolts or screws down in nice and tight. This stator is a wet system, so it will be covered in oil, as we've seen. Helps keep it cool, protect it a little bit. Now these pulsers, they're not adjustable, so there's no way to change the gap between this and the reluctor. So on the flywheel that spins around here, which creates that magnetic field, as it goes around, there's a little kind of bump out on the outside. That's the reluctor. And that, as that passes over the pulsar here, there's a gap there. And that gap is particular. It should be 0.010. A little challenging to measure on this one because the flywheel is attached to the crankshaft and this wants to go on and cover all of that. I don't think I'm going to check that at this point unless I have a problem. But this one does not look to be adjustable in any way, shape, or form. All right. All tucked in. except that this will never work the way I just did this because I can't get the flywheel over that. Oops. Probably have to flip this over here. Bonus points if you saw me putting this together and were like, yeah, that will never fly. Okay, now that we have our wires out of the way and the flywheel can actually sit down in here and function, now let's go back to the bike and let's put this on and let's see if we got it. Alright, let's put the oil back in that had drained out. So the only thing we have not swapped out or done anything with is the CDI.
How's it going, Lovey?
Nothing yet.
What do you mean? So what you're saying is you've put that part in and it still doesn't go?
Still doesn't go. It all tested out fine. Only thing left is the computer.
Jimmy!
Alright guys, this one has been a hell of a beast to troubleshoot, and we're not there yet. So, narrowing in, right? And the question is, what's left? We have compression. Matter of fact, we have great compression. We have fuel and we have spark. Good strong spark. Take the spark plug out, put a little ether down in the cylinder, put the spark plug in, crank, try to fire, doesn't even fire. It should, if timing and all that was right, you know, fire then die out if we had a fuel problem. That's not it. Spark plug comes out wet, never fires. So coming down to an ignition timing problem because we've checked the mechanical timing. We went through the stator. We've tested the resistance across the side that would go to the charging circuit, which has nothing to do with this, but that was fine. And we've tested resistance across where it will be coming out from the exciter side of the coil and the pulsar, the two pickup coils, and all of that looks good. We have a known good stator in there. The reluctor gap 0.010, also good. The only thing left is the computer. We do have a computer on the way. It should arrive tomorrow. We were hoping to deliver this tomorrow, but we got to put that in. I don't have a spare computer, a CDI box that I can swap out. The other 225 is a much simpler computer. Matter of fact, the 225 has like 5 wires coming at it, where this one has 10, 12, 13, something of that nature. But boy, this has been a heck of a troubleshoot. That's it. I'm going over everything, touching everything again. And the only thing that I can't validate in my checking is the CDI. And I don't know a way to test a CDI box without a known good spare. Known good spare is on its way. So fingers crossed, guys. This has been a heck of a build.